that I took of the comet NEOWISE in the month of July. It was visible for the whole month of July, and its closest distance to the Earth was on July 23rd of this year. And it was a pretty interesting sight to see. I'm glad people recommended me to go out and take a look at it. I had a lot going on, so I didn't even know it was there. And speaking of not knowing interesting things are out there, take a look at this. This I found while doing some astrological research on NEOWISE. Now, an asteroid, it would seem, passed by the Earth very closely on Saturday of last week. In the first view, you're going to see the trajectory of the asteroid go by the Earth, and it's going to be represented in a green line, so pay attention. See, there it goes. Whoosh. This wouldn't have been cataclysmic, and this is from its point of view. There, where it goes right by the Earth. And then the Earth's point of view. There it goes. And this, I haven't figured out yet. Not really too sure, but it looks kind of neat, doesn't it? So I'm going to stop that there because that's really the most significant part of that. And it's over anyway. So, yes, we're going to be talking about the approaching NEOWISE. So I was really talking about the video on it, that approaching. Got cats in space, and then we got the. This is actually a photo. I didn't draw this in, really, believe it or not. I took this out of one of my photos. I just grabbed it and did a little blending on it. It wasn't that difficult. And this is the actual comet. I blew it up really large. I've seen a lot of nice photos out of there. I'll say right off the bat, my photos, not the greatest, but they're good. They're okay. I got the job done. It's something I'm learning. Astrophotography is challenging. I didn't use multiple exposures. I didn't do layering of exposures, which you should do. I've been learning a lot of new techniques lately, and I think eventually I want to start getting into some astro bodies sometimes. It's not always the easiest thing to do just because of the time of day, number one, where I live, too. I have to do some significant traveling to get to an area without a lot of ambient light. It makes it more challenging to take exposures, especially if you're doing it for a long time, because you're going to be getting a lot of light coming into your camera. So it's going to be very sensitive to those types of things. So, okay, so this is actually the Big Dipper shot. This was taken, I'd say, somewhere back in January. It was pretty cold out then. This is the shot that I used. I just sampled from this picture. It's a pretty good picture, actually. It's a bit noisy. This is why I really didn't use it for anything, but I figured I could use it for something. And so the Ursa Major worked out just perfectly to use. And you can see there's the cup portion, and right here it's an upside down bear. Well, it's an kind of a rotated bear, actually. Here's the back leg, here's the front paw, and there's kind of the head right there. If you can see the Ursa Major right there, it's pretty cool. So there's a difference between this and, let's look at the other picture, and that. Where you're taking long exposures, the challenge is to try to get things not to blur, and the way you do that is to keep a steady camera. Now, this one I actually bumped myself. I can tell because the Earth doesn't rotate like that. When you get into natural Earth rotations, you're going to be seeing circular motions. The stars will move in a circle. People with a lot of expertise in astrological photographs have tracking devices. I don't have a tracking device. I do it by hand, which is why layering photos and stacking photos in Photoshops, taking multiple exposures is best. I can't take a 30-second exposure because it's going to blur because the Earth is constantly moving. So I would have to take multiple. You can take as many as you want, really, but I would say a reasonable amount for me would be up maybe 10 to 20. Maybe even 30 if I was working with JPEGs, because they take up a lot of space and it takes a lot of time to process a raw photo. But I'm going to be looking into that and seeing what my best compromise versus result is when I get the time to do that. But for right now, actually, for my NEOWISE shots that I'm going to show off today, I just used, I stacked 2 exposures. Alright, so I stacked multiple exposures, and my result was, let's get rid of this. This is what I came up with, and I think that looks pretty cool. I don't think I did a bad job on it from what I did, but I had to do a lot of editing on this. So let's just go ahead. I'll show you what it originally looked like. See, I get a lot of light bleeding from where I was shooting, and I am looking for a few. I am looking at a few more spots. I've visited them over the past couple weeks, and you know, I look to be shooting in a couple more spots for night photos. It's definitely, you know, it's definitely something you need to get the right spot, because this right here, there's a lot of ambient light here, which is why I had to do some of this editing today to make this look good. Or at least the way I wanted to. So these were actually affected by the rotation of the Earth. You see how that's a small, like, little semicircle right there? So that's the way. I might have want to take in an exposure that was a little shorter here, but these were my best series. There was a lot of bats out there as well, so it was quite challenging that night. My flashlight didn't help. Next time I'm going to have to remember to bring the red flashlight, so it doesn't attract as many insects, supposedly. Okay, so what I did first is I went ahead, I'm not going to do too much feathering, and I went ahead and highlighted this area. I'm just going to bring that up so I know where I'm going. So let's do it over. So here's our comet NEOWISE. Now what I want to do is I want to bring down some of this ambient light here and kind of, I want this to be accentuated, the comet. Not too dramatically, but definitely more dramatically than it is right now. So let's go ahead. Let's zoom in this. And what I'm going to do is I want to make a selection, and I want to get this darker. So I want to bring down the exposure here, but I don't want to affect this. Let's do it darker. You can do it darker or lighter to your taste, but I'm going to prefer to do it darker. So all I'm doing is just, see, I'm just bringing down the exposure. Let's bring down some of the highlights instead. See? So there we go. Yeah, let's make it a little darker. And now once you got selected what you were looking to select, which in my case was the comet tail, then you just want to adjust the exposure and contrast ratios on the sliders just enough to make it look realistic. You don't want it to like stand out like, say like blasting the whites and exposure of one area. I mean, obviously you want to do it by eye, something that looks realistic. And sometimes that takes a little either looking at other people's photos online or just take a break and then look at it again and go, you know what, is that realistic to me or does it look fake like that? Yeah, I like this. I think this one looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and use this one, and let me just bring it down, the highlights just down just a little bit. But check it out. Here's a couple interesting. This is the one I used. I went all out and did some affecting on it and did some negatives on it. And this is the ice ball right here, but it's still kind of cool. And this is the actual tail. This is how I know what the tail is supposed to be, and because I did this reference photo. Sometimes if you find that you're looking for like an outline or something that's really dim or whatever, just bring different areas up and mess around with them enough, and you can find what you need to reference from another photo. And that's what I used in reference for that tail. That's how I knew exactly where it was, because I had this photo. Alright, so here it is in Photoshop. So let's just zoom in on it. Let's take a look at that. That's pretty cool, huh? You can check out the Comet in its pixelated version. Very interesting. It's our glowing ball. You see how it's blue there? That means it is ice. I'm not sure where the green comes from, though. I noticed it has a green shimmer to it. It's greenish blue. I found very interesting. I'm sure some metals burn green, blue. So, it's pretty cool. So, thank you so much for tuning in. And let me give you a few facts about NEOWISE really quick. So, the next time you're going to be able to see this is 6,733 years. Its name is NEOWISE because it was discovered by the Near-Earth Object Wide Field Survey Explorer. That's just an acronym. NEOWISE is an acronym. It's an F3, which an F3 is... the F3 is the amount of light that it emits. It's an absolute magnitude. Now, the higher the absolute magnitude goes, the dimmer the star is. So I believe the sun is somewhere around -26, so that's pretty bright. I think the lowest it goes is somewhere around 30, and the highest it goes is somewhere around 30. That's pretty cool. So that's really about it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the photos. Learned something. I know I learned something in doing this. You know, stack photos and watch out for bats. And don't bump your camera. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Alright, take care.